The Budhole Podcast.
Welcome to the Budhole. It's your chance. Do your dance at the Budhole.
Here's a hot take.
Guess who's back? Back again. Budhole's back. Tell your friends.
Budhole coming at you.
We just want to say before this thing starts, thank you so much to our loyal listeners, and here you go with another great Budhole podcast, brought to you by Lamar, Brandon, Gage's Rage, and Scott on the Budhole Podcast Network. 2, 1. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Budhole Podcast. My name is Scott.
It's your boy, Gage's Rage.
I'm Lamar.
And Brandon is not here this week. Gage last week may or may not have had COVID. He's here tonight, so that probably answers that.
Yes.
But now Brandon's out. I think it's undisclosed reason. He never told me why he's out. Did he tell you guys?
He may be done.
I think
He said, fuck this shit. He wants to be number one in Slovenia. And we need to do work on our numbers to get to be number one in Slovenia just to get Brandino back.
only 133 spots to go. We're making a slow climb.
So all
to
you
that top
Slovenia listeners, tell your friends, tell your sisters, tell your wives. I don't know how marriage is over in Slovenia, but I assume you can have multiple. Let's listen. Get some Budhole going over there. Where is Slovenia?
Europe?
It's
Like Eastern European?
it's on
Russian?
somewhere on Earth.
Yeah.
I think it's west of Ireland.
I think of, when I hear Vania, I think of Transylvania. And that's
Yep.
kind of Eastern European.
Like
isn't
Pennsylvania?
it? No. That's,
Oh.
you could think of Pennsylvania. But I don't think it's in
Slovenia's
America.
Location, from a geological perspective,
You learn things all the time on the Budhole.
is in Central Europe.
Central, huh?
Yes. And it is known for mountains, ski resorts, lakes, and its
And
love
the
of
Budhole.
Budhole.
There we go.
Yes. We are number 134 on the Slovenian podcast rankings for, I assume, sports, because that's what I put in for our little category on iTunes. But yeah, number
It's awesome.
134.
Moving on up.
That's right. And when you're moving up in the world, it's a good feeling, especially when you do this for, well, I mean, we used to do it for free, which isn't the case anymore. We picked up our first sponsorship.
Heck yeah, boys. We're excited to announce that later tonight.
Yeah, we'll give them a plug later on tonight. Talk about it a little bit, get in depth on what it is and what we're going to be doing with it. As far as headlines to talk about for the week, I think the big one
I just want to say, before you say that, fuck COVID. I thought it had gone too far when Fast and Furious got moved a whole year. That's when I was like, this is the worst thing that ever happened.
And then
it was finally topped.
when it tried to take Gage's Rage out last week, you thought it couldn't get any worse, right?
I knew it wasn't going to come for you. Sees that skull and it's like, nah, dude.
I can't
ain't
fucks
fucking
with
with
that.
this guy. And then it does the shit it pulled today. Monday, August 10th. And the Big Ten has officially moved their fall 2020 football season. I don't know if it's postponed or if it's canceled. It sounds canceled at this point in time. And it'll probably be a domino effect. I assume other conferences are going to follow the lead of the Big Ten, the best conference in football, and also cancel their seasons.
How much of a power move would it be if SEC had already injected all their players with COVID, so all of them had already tested through it, and then they could be the only football conference in all of college to play on Saturdays?
I just don't think they would.
You don't think it's in the cards?
I don't know how they can justify doing that. When college football as a whole is supposed to be one thing, there's a national championship, there's a ranking that combines everything together. So is there going to be an Associated Press and a coaches poll if there's only one
They're all top
conference
25?
playing? Yeah, how the hell is that going to work?
Okay.
They were actually talking about it on the radio this morning when it was still a rumor that the Big Ten was going to be canceling. And they basically said, like, of the big five conferences, if the SEC shut down, that would be an absolute domino. If the SEC shuts football down, everybody would fall in line. With the Big Ten shutting down, though, I don't know that it's a guarantee that everybody else falls in line.
The Mountain West has already.
Yep.
And that's Boise State, right?
Right.
They're
Yep.
the big team out of that one.
Yep.
So I just don't know, as far as recruiting goes, how would that play into the next season, especially if they're talking about moving it to a spring season like Minnesota high school has already done.
Yep.
I just don't understand how they can't do it as a group, but how they would be conference by conference. Because then going into the draft this next year, you'd have players with tape, players without tape. Eligibility would be weird between the conferences. One player played an entire more season than this one, even though they came out in the same class. It'd all be fucked. I feel like they all have to do it.
The scouting Saban would be doing, saying, "Oh yeah, we're not like those Big Ten pussies. We play football all year round, regardless of the sickness or the pandemic situation."
Well, that would definitely sell to people in the South. I mean, it's in the South. Football is a whole nother thing. It's a big deal. But then you have Trevor Lawrence, who makes a good point, where he says we're just as safe on a college football campus playing football as we would be at our houses.
He says more safe.
He did say more.
He said if we can concentrate on football and have the protocols that are put in place by a team and stay safe that way, is better than if we're all sitting at home hanging out with our friends, going out to bars.
Yep.
Which is true.
That's what they'd be doing. I mean, they're 22, 23-year-old college boys, you know?
What happens if a college player does get COVID and dies? A football player. Well playing or spreads it. These people don't get paid. They're not professional athletes. And I feel like if you did play, people would be pressured to play. Even if they wanted to or didn't want to, they'd feel the pressure to if the SEC said, no, we're going. I don't, it's got to be all or nothing.
I personally feel like part of the Big Ten's decision was a little bit selfish. They didn't want to run into a situation where somebody died from it playing a sport, and then they get their ass sued off, which is a possibility.
You don't think it has anything to do with player safety?
I think that it was some player safety, but I also feel like part of the pie goes towards liability and liability. Yeah.
No. What about finances?
Well, the thing is, with as far as finances go, they'd be more obligated to want to play, especially from a school's perspective, than to not. Because with them they're not generating any money. Football is the biggest money generator for most sports.
It is,
most
but
colleges.
Outside of the big schools that have large TV contracts, it's actually contracted through the conferences, not the schools.
Yep.
They're not making that money. They're making that money off of asses in the seats.
That's right.
And so there's certain schools that are losing a shit ton of money by not having people in the stands.
Yeah, you're saving the money on the contract, the scholarships and the coaching, whatever.
I don't think you're saving money on that. I'm sure there's still scholarships are going to be honored.
Yep. But then at the end of the day, you're not getting those foam fingers and jerseys and hot dogs and.
Then what happens too? Because football might fund lacrosse. Football might fund volleyball. Football funds all of these other sports that go on at the school because it is the biggest one. So they don't have that. Are they going to be forced to cancel because they don't have the money? Are they going to go into debt over it? Are they, who knows what's going to happen with some winter and fall or spring sports?
I personally feel like they're going to be forced to cancel some of those sports too. I know for speaking for just the U of M, I believe the only two sports that football does not fund is men's basketball and men's hockey. And men's hockey, I think, that might have changed in the last couple of years.
I've gone to a couple games, given they were Thanksgiving weekend, so a lot of people are home. The place is dead.
Yeah.
No Amsoil Arena, I'll tell you that. Back to back. And I'll just say to back because the season got canceled. 3-peat champion UMD Bulldogs up there.
Yes. You were in Duluth watching the games?
No. I go to Gopher games over Thanksgiving.
Gotcha.
I've actually never been to a Gopher men's hockey game, which kind of I feel like I lost out on because I'm not sure if the lust will ever be back for them.
I'm sure. It's still the Gophers.
That's Minnesota hockey, man. You can't. Yeah.
I feel like once the team gets good again, when they start getting, because one of the biggest things that has hurt them is the other schools in Minnesota that have started popping up, like UMD, St. Cloud. St. Cloud's always been pretty good.
Bemidji.
Mankato.
Mankato. Some of those schools popping up and starting to take those premier athletes has really hurt the Gophers.
And the Gophers leaving the WCHA, which didn't help them either.
No, not at all.
You'd think, we're going to the Big Ten. We're going to play big schools would help, but that's not the best hockey division.
No.
Right.
They should have stayed playing the Bulldogs,
the Mankato.
Yeah. They screwed up big
North
time.
That
Dakota.
local polarization of the teams that everybody wants playing each other.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you look at even college football, which has now been canceled. One thing we didn't talk about last week, which was pretty hot in the rumor mill then, was high school sports in general. High school is also in the same boat where they're trying now to look and play some fall sports in the spring. which
Yeah.
nobody knows what the hell that's.
They're
gonna
not
look
looking.
like.
That's what they're doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a early spring season. I believe they said they're starting in March
Holy
because they
shit.
want to still have a late spring/summer season for the spring sports. So if you played football and baseball, you don't have to pick.
Football, lacrosse, you
Yeah.
can play both.
So
still.
they're going to, I don't know if it's going to be a shortened season or what, but they're going to start in March. It's going to be opposite of normal where it starts hot and you play into the chill. They're going to start in the fucking cold and then play into the warmth. But
That's
it's
going to
be
wild.
weird for recruiting purposes. That's after National Signing Day. Did they have to move that?
Ooh.
And that's just our state, too. I don't know what other states are doing.
Yeah.
That's because I could completely hurt it if they don't move that day because people want those names.
Mhm.
They're not going to sit and wait to scout you
Yeah,
in the
just 'cause
spring.
you're
They're
a
going to
cold
scout the
weather
other
climate.
people that are playing and try to fill those scholarships. If they even have scholarships, because they're going to have 2 freshman classes next year. Everything's fucked. Fuck you, COVID.
Fuck 2020.
COVID's really fucking put a damper because when sports started coming back, it's like, oh, sweet, sports are back, whatever. Then you have baseball where the shit starts popping up in baseball because players are sitting wherever the fucking Marlins were at, whether they were at the bar, they got it from a flight attendant. Fucking spirals out of control on them. Now the Cardinals haven't played for like 2 weeks, and they're not going
really?
to play till the end of this week.
God damn.
I think they said the Cardinals, it was either the Cardinals or baseball in general. No, it was the Cardinals. They have 55 games to play in 50 days. How the fuck is that going to work?
Especially
a
if
lot of doubleheaders.
That's
one
a lot
of
of
those teams
baseball.
ends up
Getting it.
getting COVID and then they have to sit out.
It's a mess.
And we just cleared the St. Louis Cardinals before the COVID rumors started happening, right? The
It
Minnesota
started on
Twins?
our last game against them.
And
Got
Dang.
it.
they said that it was with them leaving.
While they
Yeah.
were leaving?
Yeah, something. I heard a casino or something could potentially have something to do with it.
You got to
But-
be very careful.
You know what sport that has not had an issue? Basketball.
Nor has hockey.
The bubble might work. That might be the only thing that actually works. Even though it's driving them crazy, from what I read. And having no break from their sport. They don't get to leave and do
Locked
stuff.
in. Yeah.
But
Disc golf also hasn't had a COVID player yet.
no.
No.
I mean, can you name 5 professional disc golf players?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fact check you, so don't bother.
I can rip off a few names. Wysocki, Paul Macbeth, the Dark Horse, Paige Pierce.
They sound like professional eaters more than professional disc golfers. The Dark Horse. That
Dark
dude can
Horse.
eat like 67 hot dogs.
Kevin
Not
Jones.
quite as much as Kobayashi, but
James Conrad. I can name a few.
James Conner's a running back for Pittsburgh. Now
Conrad.
you're just making shit up.
That dude's got a ponytail longer than my hair, man. That's pretty sick.
I'd like to see your hair in a ponytail. Do you do that often?
I used to, but then I found the leave-in conditioner. That stuff's been working pretty well. So, no ponytail.
What about man bun? You ever tried the man bun?
The man bun was when I had long hair all over. The man bun was working.
Doesn't work with the skullet though.
No.
No.
Too much restrictions up top.
Got it.
What else happened in the sports world? I think the COVID opt-out for the NFL that went and passed, right?
That came and went. Yeah. Outside of the Patriots, there weren't teams hit super hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had 7 players out of the 66 total that did it.
Damn.
All came from Patriots. Few starters.
Patriots had the most.
There's 2 teams with 0.
Yep.
I think that was the Chargers and potentially the Raiders.
I'd have to look that up, actually. I think
You're
the
pretty
Chargers
slick.
sounds right.
Yeah, I can see the Chargers being a team that wants to play this
0
year.
opts out.
Yep.
But most teams didn't have more than like 3 at absolute most. Most teams
Yeah.
had minimal impact. The ones that got hit hard was the Patriots, and then who was number 2? I think the second team only had like 4.
I don't know. I think the Vikings got hit hard because of the player who opted out. He's
Yeah, for
big
the,
name.
It
yeah.
was a big hit.
But I did learn that all of that money does go back into the cap. So Patriots are sitting on like $47 million right now.
For
So
sure.
they can sign some 1-year deals to these people that want to come in and play.
Watch out for Jadeveon Clowney, maybe in a Patriots uniform.
Just a 1-year bid out there.
We'll prove it. $9 million, $12 million deal.
So
They could give them a $20 million prove it at this point. They really think they have a chance.
reading an article right now about teams with the most opt-outs due to coronavirus. They're talking about with the most opt-outs was clearly the Patriots, right? They lost 7 starters, whatever. A team with the most impactful player opting out, the New York Jets, was C.J. Mosley. I could almost make an argument that Pierce would be close to that for the Vikings.
I think Hightower is close to that for the Patriots, too.
Yeah.
Hightower has been playing at a high level for a very long time.
So I don't know how they...
C.J. Mosley's been there 1 year, and he didn't even play the entire season.
Yeah.
So I feel like Hightower's impact will be missed more than Mosley's.
Well, freaking Solder for the Giants opted out. That's a big loss for them, for a young quarterback. And
now
Saquon.
their line has been in disarray for 2 years, and they drafted Andrew Thomas, but he's going to have to take that left side now right off the bat.
Yep.
Probably weren't looking forward to that.
No, not at all. The
Throwing
Bills
Ricky in
lose
there.
2 defensive players with Star Lotulelei and E.J. Gaines. So they lose 2 of their defensive players.
The Vikings lost a linebacker to heart surgery. Did you see that
really?
story?
No.
Yeah, what was his name?
Ben Cameron.
He was supposed to be like he was going to be probably not make the team, right?
He was a mid-round pick last year.
So possible.
Which is, I got a butthole beef with Yahoo News because their headline was Star Vikings player needs heart surgery. And Cameron Smith is his name. He's far from a star. I feel bad that he needs heart surgery. I feel grateful that he got COVID and was able to see that he needed this heart surgery. Just there's one silver lining of this stupid-ass thing. Could have saved this guy's life in the long run. But he's not a star, if we're being realistic with ourselves.
No.
That's just clickbait.
Never fucking heard of the guy, and I'm a diehard fan. I know every fucking player.
I couldn't even come up with his name. I remember when we drafted him. I'm pretty sure he's from USC.
He must not have been on Madden. Because if he was on Madden, I'd remember him.
Yeah, or unless he might have been one of the preseason cuts before, if you weren't in control, or one of the first people you cut.
We need to get. Oh, excuse me.
Sim to the start of the season.
Yeah, he might be one of those guys they just cut automatically, even though he actually made the team.
Or maybe he made the practice squad in real life.
Did that say which teams had 0?
It
In
said
that
the biggest
article?
winners were Pittsburgh Steelers, LA Chargers, and Atlanta Falcons. Not all. Some of them did actually have players opt out, but minimal. I think it was the Chargers and Falcons had 0. Steelers had maybe 1.
Well, and I know the Patriots are losing some good guys there, but having all that cap space really gives them the flexibility to make something happen with some of these free agents still sitting out there.
You just can't sign them to long-term deals because I think that comes back next year.
Rolls
all
right
that
back
cap,
in.
yeah. Doesn't count as a year played. It doesn't, it just extends their contract basically.
Freeze.
Yeah.
Which is the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fucked up year.
The New England Patriots today signed a running back that was a top, I want to say 8 fantasy running back. He was a top 5 running back in the NFL from 2013 to 18. And we will break down who that is right after this commercial break. Welcome back, everybody. We are now breaking down what we teased going into the commercial break. Lamar Miller gets signed by the New England Patriots, one of the least sexy running backs in the NFL who's been extremely productive, all but last year. I think he was a little banged up last year. My biggest question, though, is if the Patriots go straight to signing him and jumping over Devontae Freeman, what does that say about Devontae Freeman? Is he just not a scheme fit?
It could be a money thing too.
That's possible.
Lamar Miller might be more open to getting the $1.5 to $3 million, where Devontae Freeman has came out and said he thinks he's still a starter. He thinks he still has it, and he wants that $5 million plus year contract.
That's actually a good point because the Patriots have no money to spend. If Devontae Freeman
Now they do, but
well, yeah,
he might want. He's not a guy who wants that 1 year deal. He wants another contract. He thinks he didn't get a fair shake. He did have an injury in his last 2 seasons. He thinks he can still play when he's healthy.
From a
Can he
fantasy
stay
perspective
healthy,
and
though?
everything, though, Lamar Miller, does he change? Does he move the needle for Sony Michel? I think he hurt Sony Michel a little bit. Did they bring Lamar Miller in more to be kind of the Like the running back is just.
I've never been high on him.
I never have either.
No.
And I was more high on Sonny Michel with Cam Newton as the quarterback. So maybe it does move it a little bit in the wrong direction. But I still probably would stay away from Patriots running backs altogether like I normally do. You're not going to get those James White's receptions.
The rookie last year, Damian Harris?
Yep. The
That's
third, fourth round. Yep.
So they got him, they got James White, they got Sonny Michel, now they bring
Sexy
Lamar Miller
Rexy
in.
is still there.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got him. It's a muddy situation.
If there's a player that or a coach that's preparing for this season, though, the way it's going to be, I think he just wants as many guys back there as he can. And, you know, if one gets COVID, they get shut down for 2 weeks. They got the next guy to roll right in.
Yeah, especially if you're leaning on a heavy running game and stuff, which you'd assume the Patriots are going to. Running game and defense.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see that.
Definitely an odd signing, though.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of those signings where right now it's kind of an under the radar pickup, but it could end up being a good get for the Patriots. I think it goes to show that they're not ready to just throw the season.
Yeah, I thought Cam Newton showed that already.
I agree.
No, Jared Stidham says he's not giving that job away.
Well,
he's ready to compete. A couple of Auburn Tigers ready to have a throw off for that
Duke
job.
it out.
It's a best case scenario though for them too to have Stidham learn behind Cam Newton a little bit.
Well, there's another running back that just hit the free agent market.
Yeah,
Derrius Guice. You made a trade from your fantasy
Washington
earlier?
football team.
You know what, you guys? I literally tried to drink that away this weekend, and it worked. It did work until now.
Well, I read a meme that said, sounds like Adrian Peterson is teaching him how to beat the opponents off the field as well.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't know the details. It was a strangulation charge.
And
Domestic.
multiple women, right? 3 women?
I didn't read all the details. Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
They cut him immediately. Normally, teams like to hang on until due process takes place. This was not one of those cases. So it sounds pretty clear cut. I mean, they still have Reuben Foster on their team.
Yeah, they picked him up right after.
And so he has the same shit, too. So they're just, trying to save a little face as the Washington football team.
While they're
the
trying
laughing
to
stock of the league right now.
Sell out and get as much money as they can.
Could it be, though, too, that they're kind of trying to... Like, Rivera comes in there, he's trying to kind of set the culture now and be like, hey, we're not going to put up with any of this BS.
Yeah. And he was a character concern coming into the draft.
Right.
He just made it 3 seasons before it came to the surface. That's why he dropped to the second round.
Yeah, he's talented as all get out, but you got to have all facets of the game to put it together.
Really quick roundtable discussion. What's the chances that, let's say that these charges end up getting dropped like they do most times with football players, right? With Kareem Hunt, the charges got dropped. Tyreek Hill, they got dropped. Mm-hmm. The only one that really got nabbed was Ray Rice because it was on video.
But he didn't get charged with it.
Right. But
she married his ass real quick, so she didn't have to testify against him.
That's true. But he hasn't played it down in the league since the video came out.
Yeah.
Video
Joe
means
Mixon,
a lot.
His draft stock got impacted, but somebody still drafted him. I'm trying to think. Those are kind of the big ones. What's the chances that if the charges do get dropped, that some team goes and picks up Derrius Guice?
I think he'll still get a 4-8 game just because the news broke about it, whether they get dropped or not.
A suspension, you mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he'll still get the suspension, so that might make teams not want to. He's not as talented as Kareem Hunt. At least he hasn't had the production that the Kareem Hunt had before he got released. So I think if a team does pick him up, it'll be for very cheap, and he'll be the 3rd or 4th string running back on the team.
If I had to put a percentage on it, I'd still say I'd go over 50%. As long as there's no video.
The video means a lot. Because the NFL, if you remember during the Ray Rice thing, that was done. He'd got a 2-game suspension. It was all said and done. Then the video dropped. And they're like,
Wham, cut.
No, suspended forever. Like, no, you knew this, and there were allegations that they had seen the video.
Yep.
Once the other people saw it, and then they're like, "Shit, everyone's seen it now." Like we gotta cut a star player. This is bad for football.
This fucking sucks. You know how much money we're gonna lose? Oh my god, he really did hit her like a pinata.
Yeah. So no video. 4 games. Because if it gets dropped, because then they don't know exactly
Well,
what happened.
first time offense, I think you could go to 2 games.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, he's
Does
been
his
injured.
character concern flags, though, coming into the draft impact how many games he gets for a suspension?
I don't think so. I think it has to be like the serious inquiries, like charges being dropped beforehand, or
What
Did
if
he
the charges
have-
don't get dropped?
If they don't get
Let's
dropped,
go that route.
I don't think he plays again.
Never?
He's not. I don't think he's worth the risk.
tough with 3 different charges for them all to be dropped too, or not to have some validity
Was
to
this
them.
like an orgy, or what was going on?
I think it was 3 different women. Like, I don't think it was the same.
It wasn't
offense.
all one night. It was
Yeah.
just like they're all coming to you right now.
Finally
and
at the
saying,
same time.
He did this to me. He did this to me.
Yep.
It's kind of like the thing with, sex offenders, freaking everything. Once one person speaks up, everybody feels empowered.
The
and then
domino
door's kind of
drops.
open.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I haven't even taken the time to look into the story. I just saw the release from Washington as far as what they said, what they had for their write-up. They saw the report. They have enough details to know that they wanted to release them. Blah, blah, blah. Rivera said he wants a culture change. They're not going to put up with this type of BS. Boom. Guice is cut. And coincidentally, I actually cut him from my fantasy team.
After that.
Because I don't
Same
want
day.
none of that riffraff on my fantasy team either.
No, it's a good move.
Yeah.
Went out and picked up Bryce Love.
No, I did go and pick up Bryce Love, so we'll see.
I liked Bryce Love in college.
Yeah.
Same thing as Guice, an athletic guy that can't stay healthy, right?
He came out injured.
He tore an ACL coming out of college. He tore his ACL at
The
end
last
of the year.
game of...
While he was playing his last year on a bum ankle.
Yep.
In
The
his
year
junior-
His
before
junior
that,
year, he
he
was
was
fucking
Heisman
exploded,
candidate,
yeah. Yeah,
so
I
he
like
played
Love a
that
lot.
last year injured and then got hurt. So he hasn't really gotten back to 100% to show whether he can do anything. But I got high hopes for him, especially now that Guice is out.
And the door's wide open. I mean, you got an old Adrian Peterson at running back. You got a young rookie in Gibson who's not he's not an every down runner. He's going to be a gadget player. And then pretty much you look at who did they bring? I thought they brought in another guy.
The old Tampa Bay guy.
Yeah, Peyton Barber.
Peyton Barber, there you go.
So they Peyton Barber.
But they picked him up before the draft. I really think this is a split between AP and Antonio Gibson.
with maybe Bryce Love sprinkled in if he shows like he has a little flash.
Yeah,
Get a
maybe
couple
taking some of the
carries.
running game from AP to keep his legs fresh. But I still think AP's got a 1,000-yard season under his legs.
I do too.
And
yeah,
Gibson definitely throwing in the mix of pace there.
AP just made a proclamation that he is going for Emmitt Smith's record.
Fuck yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
he
he's
did.
been saying it for how many years now?
He said, I want it. I said, I'm not trying to stop playing anytime now. I
We've
want
talked
it.
about this before. Is it like
Let me
4
play.
more 1,000-yard seasons he would need?
I think that. About 4 more.
4 or 5. It was a lot. So, I mean,
That dude's going to be on a wheelchair rolled out to the field, and he's like, let me go. Give me 10 carries. In this generation of ribbons and everyone wins, teams might just let him. Like, oh, let the old guy get a 100-yard touchdown. We're already winning. The Washington Redskins are going to be losing.
I will
Just
say,
let him get 100 yards this game.
even without his, speed and ability he had in his younger years, 2008, 2009, he still has that just athleticism where he can hit a hole and he can break something for a good 40-yard run.
his jump cut is still freaking
Electric.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's one of the best.
the best in the league.
Yeah.
Until he drops to, that 500, 600-yard season, not due to injury, I think he's got a chance.
Yeah.
Keep sneakily getting 1,000 yards every year. Why not? It might not be with the Redskins, but
Well, that's the other thing. He had the 1 year where he was out because of the stuff came out with his kid, and then he went to the Saints and was it the Saints and Cardinals in the same year, right?
yes.
Yep.
Where it was just an awful year. He had a little
Yeah.
bit of run with
And
Arizona.
everyone
Absolutely.
thought he was done.
Yep. Goes to Washington, and since he's been with Washington, it's been pretty decent for him.
Just grinding
The
him
biggest
out.
thing for him is he's had the opportunity. If he has opportunity, he does put up
Yeah.
numbers.
But he is the type of running back that needs carries.
Yes, he does. He's
I
a
think-
quantity carrier.
All of us know that, too. His whole career in Minnesota was 2-1, -1, 2, fucking 60. I mean,
And when he gets going, he gets going.
yeah, the fourth quarter, watch out when
Yeah.
he's got that hit.
He's hot. When he gets running hot, he gets running hot.
I would be a fan of seeing Adrian Peterson break that record.
Oh, I
that
think
would
it'd
be
be
pretty
amazing.
cool.
Especially in today's NFL, it doesn't seem like a record that should be broken.
Mm-mm. Most of them don't, besides every passing record.
Besides every pass.
Rushing and receiving, those probably won't get touched. Passing, any guy in the draft can come on and break that with how often people are passing right now.
You don't think receiving will ever be touched?
I don't. With how long Jerry Rice played for?
Oh, career numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's going to sit on that throne for a while. Larry's like the only one who's even within, spitting distance, but he still has to spit like 6 more years.
Yeah.
So
he's kicked that can already.
Yeah. He's been talking about retirement for 2 seasons. I don't see him staying in the league long enough to break it.
Who knows? Maybe a little Super Bowl run with the Cardinals could rejuvenate the all of Fitzgerald.
Yeah. You think they got a chance at a Super Bowl run?
Kyler Murray's a young back. They got a stud receiving option, DeAndre Hopkins. And that defense was not the weakness last year. I mean, Kyler definitely went through his growing lumps and took a couple hard L's.
Their offensive line wasn't that addressed, though, and that was their weakness last year.
I think if they spread it out, they could really attack a different situation.
They were the one team in the league that had I think the one team in the league that did not address offensive line at all that needed to.
They drafted the guy out of Houston that had a first-round grade.
Yep.
They got him in like the 3rd or the 4th.
Yep.
Were they... did they lose like almost every 3-point game they had last year?
The Cardinals?
Yeah.
They played
I think
in a
they
lot
went
of
like
close games
0-7 or 0-6 in really close games.
And won. They had that tie.
Oh, the tie.
Yeah.
6-1 with the Lions, right?
Yep.
Maybe it would have been that they didn't win any games where there was a 3-point swing.
Yep, exactly.
But for them,
I think adding Nuke and losing David Johnson, I think that gives them at least a few wins.
Well,
why does losing David Johnson give him wins?
Well,
the greatest running back in the league.
He wasn't playing. They replaced him with Kenyon Drake, and he performed pretty well.
True.
I think if they spread it out, Kyler can show what he's got, maybe move around on his feet a little bit.
Well, if you look at Arizona's offense now, you got Kenyon Drake in the backfield, who's a really good receiving back. Then out on the outside, you got Fitzy on the slot, you got Nuke on the one side, and question mark on the other.
Christian Kirk.
Probably Christian Kirk, but they also got that big wideout they drafted last year who could go out there. Christian Kirk is probably going to be the guy to get the first shot.
Skill-wise is their 3rd best wide receiver.
Yeah. But Fitzy and Nuke on the one outside and in the slot is pretty filthy.
Then you could have your tight end just blocking. It's not any
Max
name
Williams,
guy, but
if he stays healthy,
help him out on the line to give him an extra little half second.
I think he should just go back to the Gophers.
I do too.
Relive his heydays.
He was fucking good with the Gophers.
It's awesome. I would have bet he would have had a better career in the NFL than he has.
Wish he would have turned out.
Yannick Ngakwe fired his agent.
Oh, shit.
Do you think he's getting a little upset that he's still a Jaguar or what?
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's very perturbed about the whole situation. He's not happy at all.
Well, I mean, if the guy could stay off Twitter for all of 24 hours and not tell the whole world that he's displeased, maybe something would have happened.
The thing is, it works. That's the biggest problem with today's NFL, that being a bitch works. Jamal Adams got moved after he was a bitch. That's how you get traded.
But it's like staying on a 16 against a 10 in blackjack. Like, oh, the dealer flips over a 6 and then he busts. Yeah, you won, but you're being a total bitch, man. That's not winning the right way. You shouldn't want that.
I don't know as a team why you'd want that. Why you'd think bringing that in is going to be, he'll be a different person with us.
Exactly.
One little inconvenience isn't going to set him on a Twitter tirade.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. I understand that, but
no, they shouldn't. But it does.
They shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. I really just hope the Vikings don't show any interest in him because.
How would this work? I just was thinking. There's contract buyouts in basketball. How could they work that into the NFL? Where if a player wants out, he basically buys his way out.
The actual player buys his contract?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's how the NBA works. So that guys that aren't happy on their team, they can offer to just buy out of their contract, which doesn't necessarily mean they pay to get out.
They just don't get paid.
They wipe the contract clear. Both sides agree to. But the thing that changes with the NFL is all the guaranteed money. So the NFL, at signing, you're guaranteed X amount of dollars. That's not how the NBA works.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. Like the NBA, if you sign a $150 million contract for 5 years, you get $30 million a year. That's what you get, unless obviously you front load it or back load it. But you get the same amount every single year.
And are NBA contracts all guaranteed too?
As
They're
long as
100% guaranteed.
As long as you play every year.
Yeah.
So if you retire or something, it goes off the docket. If they trade you, your contract goes to the next team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think I don't like franchise tags. I don't like. I feel like players should be able to get out of contracts, rookie contracts, especially, or if they've played there for 3 years and they don't want to be there anymore. They didn't choose to go there. It wasn't a free agent signing. They should be able to test free agency, and if it involves you actually giving money to the team, we should work in a way that would work.
I think in a rookie situation, that'd be like the toughest part of your career where you could do something like that.
Yeah.
You know, you barely have maybe $1 million or $2 million in the bank.
Yeah, a team was going to want compensation, especially when you were a third-round pick, and now they could potentially get a first-round pick for you.
Yep.
But it's just like that doesn't, in any facet of any other job for a regular person, there's no way they'd go somewhere and they'd be there for 2 years and hate it. Be like, oh, I can't leave though. Unless they trade me. I'm stuck here. I can't make a move in my career. I can retire, but I can't just quit and go sign with another team.
Contracts are just weird in general.
Yeah. I think people should honor free agent contracts more than rookie contracts. And if you're a first-round pick, that's almost like a free agent contract because of the money you're getting, because of what that team invested in you already. But
yep.
If you're a late-round guy that took off and aren't happy where you are and the team's not making you happy, I don't know.
Well, and being a late-round draft pick, no one's forcing you to sign a 6-year rookie contract or a 4-year rookie contract. If you believe in yourself, why not sign a 2-year contract?
If you're drafted, it has to be 4 years.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
a rookie drafted rookies signed for 4 years.
Wow.
First rounders have the 5th year option. Undrafted free agents can do the 2-year.
Okay. We talked about the player who believed in himself, said don't draft me.
Lael Collins said, yeah, that's why he said don't draft me, so that he could play for 2 years and then sign the big deal. Because he knew if he got drafted in the 7th round, he's going to be playing for less than $1 million a year for 4 years.
And I just to play devil's advocate, the same breath, the average career in the NFL is less than 3 years, right? I mean, just getting any sort of contract, I'm sure a lot of these guys are happy with. It does suck, though, like you're saying, when you're in your 2nd year and you absolutely ball out, all pro, lead the league in whatever stat you're looking at, and then next year you're looking at $2.5 million.
And I think Ngakwe is going into his 4th year, which would be his last year on his contract. But then they have the franchise tag, so technically they can make him stay for 2 more years. And that's why he's like, I don't even want you to pay me. I want someone else to pay me. I don't want to play here. This is a shit organization. And I feel like that they should honor it. I don't know. You can get something for it, but him doing all his Twitter shit is lowering the value they're going to get for him. So, unless you're Jamal Adams, and then you'll get 2 first-round picks and a safety and a 4th one.
Yeah, the thing with Jamal Adams, though, is you just got to find one team that's willing to tango. I still don't get why, per se, the Raiders wouldn't have traded for Ngakwe.
That's probably what the asking price is.
Right.
Do they want multiple first-rounders?
Yeah.
Do they value him like they would a Khalil Mack? They traded away
almost.
Khalil Mack. Why would you trade multiple first-rounders, lower picks than what the Bears are giving you to get Ngakwe when you just traded away Khalil Mack, who's obviously better, in my opinion.
That's true. We will go into a very quick commercial break, and then we will break down the latest endeavor that the Budhole is going into right after this. All right, we're back with you guys, and we just want to break down really quick our latest endorsement deal, which was our first official endorsement deal. Before we were doing this, well, just for fun, because we like to do it, and it's fun to do. We picked up a endorsement through Thrive Fantasy, and what they do is if you use promo code BUD, you use that code BUD, Use that code upon sign up, and when you make your first deposit of $20 minimum, you receive an instant $20 bonus from Thrive Fantasy.
What does Thrive Fantasy do?
What Thrive Fantasy is they have eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about top-tier athletes and their respective sports. If it's the NFL, you choose 10 out of 20 player prop options to build your lineup. So they take Vegas prop bets, and you bet on the players based on the prop bets.
So it's not like a daily fantasy.
Correct. It's the same kind of idea where you build a 10-player lineup, but you're betting the prop bets. You're not putting...
Touchdown.
So they'll say...
100 yards.
Stephon Diggs, 87.5 receiving yards this week. You'll bet over under.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is you gain points for each correct bet throughout the day's games, the contest games. And people with the most points at the end of the day or at the end of the contest, they're the ones that pocket money. So basically, Thrive has awarded over $1.3 million in prizes since it launched in 2018. This company launched in 2018. It's only been around a couple of years. I don't know if you guys went over and looked at it or not, but their website is super sleek. It looks like a newer
super
website.
Professional.
Yes.
The app is very, very user-friendly.
It's very streamlined and to the point. And it's for, I would say, if you're somebody that doesn't know who, say, Antonio Gibson is, like my brother in the Dynasty League when you drafted him, you're not going to have to worry about those guys on Thrive Fantasy. You're going to stick with the Julio Jones, Stephon Diggs, the people that don't have 40 hours a week to put it into fantasy football. You can hop on there and make smart bets or educated bets.
Yeah.
So head on over to www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up using promo code BUD, and you will receive a $20 bonus when you deposit your first dollar value of $20 or more. And don't forget to hashtag prop up with Thrive Fantasy. With that being said, I ran into an interesting little stat line today on a podcast that I was listening to.
Ooh.
Because I've been texting with Gage. I've been kicking her the tires on a possible trade.
You have.
With a guy in the Dynasty League. He's trying to sell me Mike Thomas for reasons to not disclose who it is, because I don't want this to get out and people to start pestering me one way or trying to influence him one way. I won't give anybody Brandon's name. Not COVID Brandon. He's a different guy in the league. But what I came across was stat lines for two players in their rookie years. One of the players is I'm just going to give you the stats, and then I'll tell you who they are after that. Player 1 in his rookie season: 58 receptions, 919 yards, 7 touchdowns. Wide receiver.
Pretty nice.
Player 2. 54 receptions, 959 yards, and 8 touchdowns in his rookie season. The two players that I'm speaking of, Julio Jones, star. You want to make a guess on the second guy? You look like you had a guy in mind.
Well, I thought you were talking about last year as rookies.
Just rookies straight up, not their rookie season. This was their stat line.
But I think the second guy might have been a rookie last year.
The guy that I gave up first, the first stat line, was a rookie last year. Julio Jones was the second.
DK?
No.
Who was it?
Scary Terry.
Yep, Terry
McLaurin.
McLaurin. Put up about the same exact numbers as Julio Jones as a rookie.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Which, rookie, I'll say this, young wide receivers are very difficult to project, right? What they're going to be, if the numbers they put up was just product of the environment, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that this struck a chord with me was because Terry McLaurin has been one of the top people talked about in me shipping out to receive Michael Thomas in my Dynasty League. But the more I think about it, I'm like, I think Terry McLaurin's going to be an absolute stud.
Could be your Michael Thomas.
And, well, this is the thing. I made a trade with this same guy a couple years ago where I shipped out Michael Thomas, and now I'm about to ship out a bunch more assets just to get this motherfucker back. I don't think I want to do that.
And could I be wrong about this trade? Did you get Julio Jones when you traded Michael Thomas?
I got AJ Green.
Was Julio Jones involved there too?
I traded for Julio Jones in a different, separate trade.
Which wide receivers have you not had on that team, honestly? But this guy loves trades in the Dynasty format. It's crazy.
Let me ask you this question, though. How confident are you in Dwayne Haskins? Matt Ryan was established when Julio Jones was a rookie and going into his second year, his third year, his fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, seventh year.
Dwayne Haskins is on his roster as well.
Well, this is what I would say. Dwayne Haskins and Scary Terry had a connection from college. They played together. And then number 2, I feel comfortable with Terry McLaurin, especially this year, just because he's all they have. They have nothing else at wide receiver, nor do they really have anything at tight end. I mean, Logan Thomas is going to compete with Terry McLaurin for touches. Fuck that shit. If McLaurin stays healthy, I think he's going to have a very, very good year. 1,000+ receiving yards, 6-7 touchdowns, at least 65 catches, and that's a good year.
They cut the old Seahawks wide receiver, did they not?
Yes, they did. Richardson. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they really don't have much. The only thing I'd worry about trying to forecast McLaurin in the same light as Julio is I don't see Haskins so far, from what I've seen of him, as their career starter. Can't see him being there for the next 9-10 years at this point. He could prove me wrong, but Julio never had to deal with the quarterback carousel. Terry may have to.
Yep. Which would hamper him a little bit. The other thing I was going to say, too, regarding the comparison between Julio and Terry McLaurin is one NFL draft scout that really focuses on specific situations as far as jam press coverages. Terry McLaurin graded out the best wide receiver as a rookie in jam press coverages that he's ever graded out since Julio Jones in his rookie year. So there's comparisons there. I'm not saying Terry McLaurin is Julio Jones, but what I am saying is there's something there with Terry McLaurin.
Michael Thomas might have a quarterback carousel starting after this year, too. So that's something you want to look at with him.
Right.
Once
His
Drew is done,
long-term.
are they going with Jameis? Are they going with Taysom? Are they drafting? Are they, when you don't have Drew there, do you still have Michael Thomas?
Right. And that's why I think this guy, who I won't name, but his name is Brandon, is trying to get rid of Michael Thomas. It's
So high on him.
Which, if I'm him, I'm trying to do the same thing. I sold Tyreek Hill and I didn't plan on getting rid of him, but I got the right deal for it. Sometimes
There's
trades
always
just
a
happen.
value. There's always a value that you can sell on.
With that being said, I got nothing else for this podcast. Thank you guys for checking it out. If you two don't have anything, we'll do the old sign off. Gage, hit them with the bite.
Good night, Slovenia. Go jerk off.
Bye.
Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Budhole. Check us out on Twitter as well, @OfficialBudhole, Instagram, @OfficialBudhole, TikTok, @OfficialBudhole. And if you have questions or comments, email us at officialbudhole@gmail.com. Also, make sure to check out our Teespring website where we have sweatshirts and t-shirts, and our website itself where we post blogs and whatnot. Both of the links will be posted in our description for the episode. Please leave a rating on whichever platform you're listening on, as well as make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can continue to bring you the great content we create, as well as make it even better for the future. We love you all. Peace out.